if interest rates go up because the economy is getting better, that's usually good for the housing market. So I'm not too worried about that, about higher interest rates choking off, having much of an impact on housing or the economy on housing at all.
So what do you expect from the numbers then today, Patrick?
Well, we're not going to get great numbers because housing starts surged in April, and they surged because there were unusual spikes in two states, New Jersey and New York. So we may see down housing permits and housing starts down for the month of May. The key number to keep track of are the single-family housing permits. That number has been growing slightly from month to month over the last several years, and we're expecting more of the same. I don't think we should expect anything unusual in today's release.
Is rising improvement in housing data an indication of higher confidence among consumers, or is this just seasonal factors at play here, Patrick?
Oh, I think it's a fact that we have been underbuilding for so long, and so there's so much pent-up demand, and that's really the source of the growth. And we are not seeing fantastic housing numbers. Actually, May is a milestone. It was 10 years ago in May that the housing starts on an unseasonally adjusted basis peaked, and so 10 years later, the single-family housing market is still at very low levels, very depressed. It's the multifamily that's growing again, and we should probably expect to see more of the same over the next several months.
Patrick, one of the important developments for me over the last couple of months is finally seeing the retail data, the consumer sentiment join some of the other data that we've seen as being more positive, particularly jobs data. Do you think that's enough to now lead to the Fed to hike rates perhaps in September?
Well, I don't think the Fed will look so much at consumer sentiment. They will mainly look at the labor market, and they may also look at the housing market. Everything will be data dependent, and yes, our call is that the numbers will show that the economy is strong enough that it could support a rate hike starting in September.
If we do get that rate hike, what does that mean for housing data and the housing sector in general? Will that lead to consumers not taking out loans?
Well, I think that the Fed will raise slowly in very small increments over a long period of time, and this will happen in slow motion, so its effect on the housing market will be possibly imperceptible.
We're really the first cloud money platform, and the definition of cloud money is going to be disruptive like cloud has been in just about every other industry. But what we do is we allow the exchange of money at no cost, and now the exchange of foreign exchange at no cost. And so it's really marking the beginning of the end for banking fees globally.
But how can you do it at no cost? How is that sustainable over the longer term?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. When I launched CNET in 1995, I made a decision that nobody had really ever made before, which is trying to build a large media company without charging for the content. And my billion-dollar competitors got between 35% and 50% of their revenue.